we talk a lot about meta and the metaverse and augmented reality. Jon's going to talk to us about a prediction for the future on today's Not So Critical Update.
So when I saw this article, it caught me off guard. I rushed reading through it today, and what jumped out at me was, the digital transformation that we can't even fathom right now, that we can't even imagine will happen in 10 years' time. And I totally agree, because if we go back 10 years, or if we go back 10 years from 10 years ago, so 20 years, in these 10-year increments, we were seeing such a massive shift every 10 years into the digital verse, or whatever we want to call it, into the digital realm, that God knows what it will be in 10 years' time. What I do think is really interesting about this merged physical digital world is how involved, or maybe reliant, we're going to become on something like a metaverse or a digital world. Now, we're coming up on, or it's actually already happening, a race to a new monopoly. And the race involves multiple conglomerates and countries even, but conglomerates. Facebook being the most vocal currently with their metaverse meta name change announcement. Mark Zuckerberg is trying to force Facebook to become the de facto platform for augmented and virtual reality. And Microsoft behind the veil is working on the same exact thing. Not so much anymore behind the veil, as they're announcing digital virtual meetings in the metaverse, things like that. Apple quietly patenting augmented reality tech. Google, same exact thing, working on the same exact thing, augmented reality technology, usually coming in the form factor of glasses. What this allows us to do is to transform how we live.
Oh, I thought you were going to say VR porn, but okay, go on.
Well, sex
Peter
will
is
totally be.
all
That's the
in
thing.
on the metaverse.
Well,
Oh yeah,
sexual experiences will be involved. It will be completely digital. No, I'm not even kidding. Like, this is going to be insane. And here's why.
Rubbish.
I linked you guys an article about a paralyzed man who tweeted without his hands. Obviously, he's paralyzed, using only his mind. And they installed a small chip in his brain. I guess they trained it to recognize certain words in his thought patterns. I'm not sure exactly on the technology. And he was able to tweet out something. This is insane.
Yeah.
And this is just a tiny step, or a massive step, depending on your scale, of us completely abandoning the physical realm, or at least merging the two. You will walk around wearing these glasses just like you guys are now, but instead of them being no tech, it will have all the tech that our phones and computers have.
You'll be walking down the street. You right now, man.
You'll be walking down the street, and there will be virtual billboards and
Peter,
virtual advertisement.
Why are you skeptical?
What?
Why are you skeptical?
20 years ago, a lot has changed in 20 years, right? But we still don't have flying cars, basically, is my
Yeah, but we don't
feeling.
have flying cars because they're not efficient or reliable or safe. It wouldn't make sense to have flying cars.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to take over. I don't think it's ever going to be fully virtual worlds that people will just live in. There's too many other side problems with it.
So here's why I think you're wrong, Peter. I think it's already happening. So I saw this for the first time all the way back in 2005. I had a developer that worked for me, and he was talking about something that he learned from his online friends, and was developing this friend group virtually of people he never met before, but was interacting with online. Today, I have a college student whose vast network is almost entirely online. So I would say we're pretty much there today. The only piece that's missing, I mean, we're, as a society, not there today, but the younger generation is nearly almost all the way there today. The only thing that's missing is that virtual shell to sit on top of it.
Yes.
But the problem is that doesn't persist. 20 years ago, I was almost all my friends were pretty much online. And now they're not. Well, actually, in the last couple of years with the pandemic, they kind of are. But I have a real life, and I still go out. I go to for walks and things, and I enjoy other people's physical company. And I'm enjoying it more probably now than I used to. My first girlfriend was online.
I think you're.
Whose wasn't?
I think you're old. To say that. Like I don't think Gen Z thinks about things the same way that Gen X and even
they don't. But
do.
they're not going to be Gen Z forever. There's going to be Gen Z plus.
But they started online. They've lived their entire lives online. Yeah, you didn't do that.
But people evolve. They don't stay the same. It's not going. Are you the same person you were 20 years ago? Because
no, but I didn't start in that environment. They're going to evolve. There's no question about that.
That doesn't make sense, Peter. That argument doesn't make sense because no one is going to be who they were 20 years ago. I think we're going to develop. The difference is
my argument.
None of us. No, wait. None of us started life with an internet connection reliable enough to just use.
I started my adult life.
They're going to evolve, but they're not going to follow your trajectory.
You didn't start your life watching your parents on phones and computers.
I agree that it's going to be more tightly integrated and it will become more accepted and less weird to have Tinder is going to be the de facto way of finding a girlfriend or whatever. But I don't think it's ever going to take over. I think that
I don't even think Tinder. I actually think you're wrong there too. I think there's going to be social hubs where you go and hang out as your virtual self, and it could be something like a living room, and you're all watching a movie virtually together, but of course physically apart.
Sure. That kind of happens already in cafes. You walk into any kind of pub and everybody's on their phone, even though they're sitting around a table.
No. But the difference there is the phone is an isolator. The virtual reality or augmented reality will be
it's
isolator. I don't know how to describe it.
It's a physical isolator because you're not looking at the person next to you, but you are communicating with other people.
Sure.
I think there is another piece of evidence, though, that we already are seeing today. Because on one hand, you'd say, well, you can't exist without some kind of physical social interaction. However, looking at this younger generation, they are not having physical relationships. They are not having sex at the same rates that earlier generations did by a huge margin, in part because of this more virtual experience and the way they live their lives.
I know I can see the trend. I don't think it's going to continue forever like that. I don't think there's that's it.
Well, get out your ledger.
Get out my ledger. All right.
Well, we're going to keep track of it for 10 years. The truth is
2032.
2032. Put it on your calendar.
I owe you a pizza if I'm wrong. If we're all sucked into
and your pizza. I have a gambling problem.
That's it. Pizza for Mike.
I owe Peter a pizza. For Peter, if I asked you 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I'd tell you that we're going to fit computers more powerful than the one you used to play World of Warcraft on in your pocket.
Yeah.
In less than 20 years, in 10 years even.
Well, this will be fun. Peter, when you were growing up and wanted to go see a movie, how did you find out when the movie was playing?
I didn't go to cinemas until
you didn't?
I didn't check the newspaper, of course.
You did that, John? You would check the newspaper? I thought maybe you were old enough that you would have had the internet on your phone. Young enough, I mean.
I had my first smartphone I got the iPhone 2G because of 1G was a recall. I got the iPhone 2G when I was 15.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Or 16 maybe, because my dad received the 3G as an upgrade from AT&T and he gave me his old one.
Interesting. I thought you would have been ahead of that a little bit.
God, you guys are so cynical. I don't. You really think that online interaction is going to completely replace? But here's the thing, right?
I think it is already. It's like I was telling you when we were sitting at the bar together physically. Oh, that's right, never. Because we only know each other virtually.
Yeah, we have never actually met. That's true. Although I would say that, doing this maybe counts.
As an online virtual life. Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
You're not a pretend friend. You are actual friend.
And that's you're proving.
How is that different
proving my point stronger.
But it's not replaced it. It's not replacing.
No,
I
of course,
still
it's not meant to
have-
replace. It's
see
not meant to
people.
replace. It's meant to completely merge and become one and the same. Where
that's my
I don't
point.
have online friends. I have friends, some of which I've never met
Yeah.
physically.
Oh,
But it makes no
I completely
difference.
agree with that.
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
potentially most of which.
Yes, and actually now in today, thanks to the pandemic, 99% of my social interactions are online.
I think
through
that's
work
okay.
and play.
Whoa, okay. I thought you were talking about like us basically just living like slugs in.
The
in
day I
our
can be
own-
plugged into the
100.
Matrix,
I think
I am
100 years.
in.
Yeah, 100 years. Oh, same.
Right.
100%.
Oh no, because
plug me in.
because
Yeah.
Siphon
in
me
that
up.
case,
Oh yeah.
in that case, I completely agree with you, and I think it's absolutely fine. I don't think we should
I
worry
think that'll
about our
take
kids at all.
that type of computer brain interface is going to take 100 years. There's no way we get a Matrix so soon.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Well, I don't
as
think that's
soon
ever
as it
going to happen.
does,
But
even if I'm 90 and I'm
Yeah,
fucking
I'm in.
dying, I say
Absolutely.
plug me in.
oh yeah, if it's real enough to
If we get there.
completely replace reality,
Yeah,
sign me
get
up
me
as
in
well.
there.
Yeah.
Get me in
Yeah.
there. Fucking
Yeah, fuck all
plug
this
IV
physical.
straight into the arm.
Yeah.
I'm
Problem
in. I'm
solved.
never leaving. Thank
Even
you.
if it, like, if we take the example of the Matrix, which you guys talked about earlier, on another segment, I don't know what orders these. Whatever.
It doesn't matter.
Even if it was like Facebook running the Matrix, I think I would still sign up for it.
I
Actually,
think it'd be
Ooh,
too.
damn.
I think it would simply be too hard.
if it was
not to.
real.
If we're
Yeah.
talking about the same level, right, of Matrix, where it looks real, feels real,
Yeah.
tastes real.
John, does a
No,
does
no,
a
I mean-
society in which you have the option to plug yourself into this virtual society, does this story remind you of anything?
No.
Oh no,
Are you referring to Sword Art Online?
no. I'm like there was a book, Mana.
Oh,
God, look, I've watched the.
That's essentially this
Social
exact
Dilemma.
story.
but is it because Mana was all about? I don't remember plugging in Mana.
I think you
It
had
has
the
been a
option.
decade since
Well,
I've read
Peter's
it.
going to have to read it. He can tell us about it. Speaking of which, Peter, I did follow your recommendation for you recommended Brassic. I did watch it. Pretty good show. Can't
Yeah.
understand why it's not dubbed in English, but interesting anyway.
Yeah, it's a very good
Oh,
show.
Mike. So how long did that take you since the recommendation? What is that? 2 weeks?
Yeah, no, not long at all. I mean, he gave me that recommendation.
Wait,
and
no, fuck you guys.
Wow.
Watched it pretty much immediately.
You said when I watched. You said you were watching it when I watched The Social Dilemma, and I did. So there.
Okay.
Look, but can I just get back to something? I know this is delaying the end of the segment, and we're trying to wrap it up and not go too long. But don't you think that's okay that kids grow up with this kind of integrated digital online and real life interaction?
more
So
than
you think
okay.
that's absolutely, it's fine. It's just
think it's
another
more than
way of communicating with people. It's just a different way.
It's
I don't
freedom
know.
in my
I think
eyes.
there's there is impact on personal development that I think is unclear. I think
Yeah, but
like physical interaction is important. Historically, we learn things from playing with other kids about sharing and negotiating those relationships and in dynamics that don't exist online. So as we
Right.
move away from that, I don't know if I would say it's better or worse or harmful or not harmful, but it's not anything we've ever seen before. And it's going to be very
Exactly.
different than what anybody
Yes.
else has ever
Very
experienced.
new.
we adapt and we evolve as
Yeah,
human
yeah.
beings. We like there'll be new ways of interaction, new dynamics that
And
people
new
have
lessons.
to deal with.
And the things
Yeah.
that things that us old people, which is what we will become at
Well,
this
especially
point,
Mike. Yeah.
Definitely, Mike. We will not understand. Like parents not understanding metal music in the 80s.
Yes.
The thing
Hello?
that's concerning though, that makes me think, because like to evolve, you have to have generations, right? The declines
There we go.
the declines in reproduction and marriage rates from the standpoint of evolution, I would say are concerning.
They from the standpoint of
Wait, did you say?
Gaia.
Wait, sorry, I missed it. Did you say reproduction?
Yes.
The best
We
thing
need
that can
to
happen
stop having
is that we
so many
slow
babies.
reproduce. You know,
Sure, that's fine,
You don't,
but
I actually have a radical idea regarding reproduction. You want to know it? You guys want to hear it? It's
the
unpopular.
more
opinion.
controversial, the better.
I've thought of
Okay.
about 3 very rude things to say there, and I'm not going to say any of them. So
Oh,
go
okay,
ahead.
good.
Quickly.
Mandatory vasectomies for all boys born right off the bat. Boom. Out vasectomy.
That is
snipped.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And you want to know, is this
so-
China or and then why? So you should. God, this is so fucked up. But it's
I didn't
so
have
true.
any follow-up questions, but go ahead. Sure.
Oh, I'll just tell you. I'll break it down even further. At 18, no, not at 18. At let's say age 25, you're given a set of criteria to reverse the vasectomy. So you need to have X amount of financial stability, basically saying that you can support this child. You need to be sound of mind. You need to be not insane, right? Because that would be bad. And you need to be stable to be able to raise a child. Anyone can raise a child today.
You know what would be great?
Terrible.
Just to modify your theory a little bit, is if there was a way to predict how you were going to turn out before you were born, and then just kill off the
no, we don't need to kill them.
Humans.
They can live, but they can live. They just can't reproduce, right? And I know the reference. I'm not going to touch on it. I get what you're trying to say. And no, I'm not about predictive technology. That's not the point. The point is this is to reduce the rate of reproduction of humanity because we are just having.
Position.
I think we don't need that.
I am not.
We're having too many babies.
We're doing that to ourselves anyway. You know, here's another thing. I made this point to Mike the other day, and I think I quite like this way of looking at not human nature, but nature and evolution.
You agree with the point you made?
I agree with the point I made. So listen up, guys. I like it because I haven't heard it very often, and I think it's right, which is that technology is just another way that nature has evolved. It is nature. We were talking about artificial intelligence, and I said that artificial intelligence, if it's good enough, is just intelligence. It's not artificial, even though it's made by silicon or whatever. It's just a way of creating sentient life forms. And I think that nature is doing what Jon is suggesting by culling the populations, not culling because that's getting rid of things that didn't exist, but slowing down the rate of reproduction somehow. The whole point about nature is it comes up with these new and weird ways of doing things, these mutations of the different ways of existing that didn't happen before, and then testing them out and seeing which survives. And if the technique that survives is to introduce something called technology in the internet, which slows down the population growth, which then means that the Earth can survive. And that is nature.
So
I'm cool with that.
Is your line of thinking that if humanity dies out, but artificial intelligence survives, that is the life prevailing?
I think that's an accomplishment.
Absolutely, 100%. We
and
have
I actually
procreated.
think they would take they would carry on the helm of humanity.
Hopefully, though, they would look after us, like in the culture novels, where we are kind of ruled by benevolent AI, super brain AIs called minds.
Yeah. Just take care of me. Yeah.
Why not? I mean, there's a lot of resources. We, until we run out of stuff in the galaxy, they can just But that's why we sort of need to build ethics into AI right now, because it's very hard. It's going to be harder to do after the fact.
Is this show about anything? What are we?
Well, I think it's
security and privacy. I think
security, privacy, and sometimes we'll dip into other topics like futurology and video games and stuff.
Gosh, I'm sorry, guys.
Why? No, that was great. Best episode yet. Honestly, 10 out of 10. Good way to close out the year.
I'm definitely going to be thinking about what both of you said very carefully over the next week.
Wow.
Well, don't take everything I said.
Don't, we could ruin this.
Face value vasectomies. Yep.
Oh, damn. All right. That's how we end the show.
Happy New Year, guys.